Well, it's so lovely to have you all here. I quickly want to introduce myself. I'm Karina Klaffe. I'm running our startup accelerator where we are supporting female-led startups in a 3-month program to get them investment ready. And I'm so pleased to introduce you to this next session that we are having here, because it's very close to our core activities here at Female Founders. So the next session is about boosting female innovation, supporting the growth of female ideas in tech and innovation from Austria to Europe. And I'm happy to also introduce you to our 3 speakers. So first of all, Anna Iarotska, I hope I pronounced that correct. She's the co-founder and CEO of Robobunderkind. They're award-winning robotic kits, teach kids aged 5 to 14 to code through playing. Then I would like to also introduce Werner Müller. He's responsible for the startup services at FFG, the Austrian Research Promotion Agency. And we also have, last but not least, Angelo Nuzzo, a program manager at FFG. It's great to have you here. Before I hand it over to you, for everyone who is joining that session, please post all the questions that you have in the chat. And at the end of the session, we will be able to tackle some of those questions. Now, over to you now. Enjoy the session.
So thanks, Karina. Also, a warm afternoon to all the participants in the session. I'm Werner Müller from the FFG Startup Services. We will give you a quick overview of the grants and support for startups, especially female startups. And Anna will give you her story from her point of view. How is it to be a founder, a female founder in the Austrian startup ecosystem, also participating in programs on a European level. And so I think it's more or less 30 minutes, and then we will have 10 minutes at least for Q&As. So I will start and share my screen. So the FFG, we are the Austrian Research Promotion Agency. So we are a national agency for fundings, not just for startups, but also for startups. We are quite a big partner for the Austrian startup ecosystem, with supporting startups between 65 to 70 million euros per year. And we have a lot of fundings, especially for R&D topics. So whenever you are into projects that have a R&D component, just give us a call. There are several programs around. When you're a little bit into the startup ecosystem in Austria, then you probably know the top 100 Austrian startups. Most of them are supported from FFG. So FFG, if you're a small startup, we have fundings for you, but also for bigger projects for several years, there are fundings around. And there are a lot of startups, successful startups that we go their path together. If you're interested in funding for startups, there's a startup definition of companies up to 5 years with employees up to 249 employees. Then you are a startup from our definition. It's also the EU definition. Important is that for most funding, you need to have a company registered in Austria to apply for grants. Which kind of projects can be introduced? So there are different levels of technology readiness level. As you see, there are fundings for idea, prototype, validation. So most projects should have a prototype stadium to enter fundings. There's a quite big portfolio of funding around at the FFG. I just want to give you a small hint. If you're in the academic background, there's the spin-off fellowship, where we help people who work on a project in a university to found their startup as a spin-off. It's a broad program from 18 months to start your own business when you have an academic career. For social entrepreneurs, there's a funding called Impact Innovation. So there can also Vereine apply for this. So whenever you think about find a social impact startup, or if you are a social impact startup, then you can apply for Impact Innovation. And then there's the big projects of the startup funding project at the FFG Basisprogramme, so the general program or small scale project. That's the biggest part of the startup fundings. So this can be smaller projects from between 18 months up to several years with a lot of projects and R&D involved. The startup funding, the general program, as I said, it's the biggest funding program. It's for experimental developments. As said, it's up to several hundred K for several years for highly innovative, technologically challenging projects. There's always the innovation component, so there's need to be something new with a high commercialization potential, and there's the funding decision 7 times a year. So you can always apply for the funding. There's the decision will be held in 7 times per year. Impact innovation, as said, especially if you're into social entrepreneurship and social impact, then this could be the right for you. It's for costs up to 150K. We cover half of the costs. For the other half, there's a crowdfunding component where we can support you also in finance the second pass, especially interesting for Vereine that normally can't apply for grants at the FFG. And there's the Global Incubator Network. So if you're a startup from outside Austria, then we can help you to come to Austria with the Go Austria program. It's a short accelerator program of 2 weeks, where we partner up with Austrian corporates, bringing startups to foreign startups together with Austrian startups. So if in the audience are startups from outside Austria or outside Europe, it's a good way to get to know the Austrian startup ecosystem and to partner up with corporates working together on innovations. Focusing on female founders and how we support talent in the female area. We offer femtech internships that could be interesting for startups trying to get female talent into their startup or hire female employees, where we support internships of up to 6 months with 50% of the costs. So we cover half of the staff costs. There's Femtech Career. It's another component of our portfolio, where we help companies to implement female programs to make it easier for them to stay in the company, probably if they on pregnancy leave, or to come back. And there's a lot of coaching programs supported with this. So as a company, you can apply for Femtech Career and implement a Femtech program into your company. And then there's a network. It's a female researchers platform with Forte. It's also interesting to have an exchange and to work on your ideas as a female founder. So how to get to the FFG? You can just fill in the quick check that is on our website. If you have an idea or a project that you want to know is there's any funding around at the FFG, or you can just call our FFG funding service or send them an email. It's always the best entry point with your idea for your project to ask, okay, what fundings is around, and if there's no funding at FFG, they can also support you in, okay, probably there's an AWS or programs in your Bundesland. For the ones who want to make more their own path, they can go to the FFG further pilot or FFG app to check out what could be the right funding for you. But I would suggest to go to the FFG funding service and give them a call. So, and then I hand over to Angelo.
All right.
He will give you some insights on the European level of funding.
Thank you, Werner. So I take over from here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to share information with you on the European international program. So next slide, please, Werner. I warn you, some of my slides are very dense, but don't worry, I will not go to read everything. It's there mostly for you. I hope I can share this for you and you can calmly read all the details afterwards and try to give you the take-home message for each one now. First of all, who are we? We are a department of FFG, which is an organization that Werner just presented. And the way we introduce what we do and who we are is maybe in this way for you easier to understand. This is a typical journey, I would say, of an Austrian company in a landscape of financing. Okay, typical your idea, technical idea, business idea. You found your company, your first partner most likely are the regional agency. There are many here in Austria, or the ADS, where you basically get the money to start your business. And then you come to us for two things. Initially, most likely on a smaller scale, you want to implement some innovation project. And this is where you go to our basis program, structure program, thematic program, or the startup support. And here we talk about projects in the range from, I would say, maximum 1 million euros cost. Once you typically have some of this project, then you're ready for the next step, is to go international. And this is where you knock on our doors. The main difference is that the national program, they have their own money, and FFG is evaluating you and giving you the money. While for European international projects, we are kind of consultant to you. We try to help you to get the money that the European Commission puts on. So if you want to go European international, you basically come to our department. And the next slide, I will just quickly show you what we do. Again, mainly, as I said, consulting. I hope the next slide is coming. I don't see. Okay, perfect. Main one is consulting. Either, as Werner say, you go to the further service and they bring you to us because you want to go international. And we host as a department the so-called national contact points. So the European programs are hundreds, is a very complex world, but for each of the programs you have one person in our department we can advise you, okay? Redirect to the proper person if you need a project for health, for ICT, for energy or whatever. And also we offer a series of internationalization opportunities through the Enterprise Europe network. You can search partner internationally. You can search for career if you want to move abroad. And we offer all set of training with our FFG Academy to drive you through any of these chances. Okay. In the next slides, I jump to what's relevant for us today. As I said, there is a lot of EU programs. And I picked the one where the female entrepreneurship is particularly supported. And these are in the so-called European Innovation Council, EIC. Okay. The main instrument that is relevant for you is the accelerator. Why? Why it is a program where you can apply alone as a company. You don't need a consortium. You don't need partners. So you go and this program wants to fund your company. The target is what you see in this little post-it. Whoever has a very breakthrough idea, so disruptive, scale up, these are the keywords. So this is for real, as the Commission say, the next unicorns in Europe. What's also nice is the only program where you can get up to 15 million investment in your company, and it covers 70% of your cost. Again, these are just really catcher for your eyes. For any other question, you can address me in a second moment for more details. What is really important here? That is the first program where the European Commission wants to push the female entrepreneur. How concretely? So this is a program when you have to submit a proposal, and if this proposal is positively evaluated by the jury, you are invited for a pitching event in Brussels, and if this goes well, you get the money. The particularity here is that the Commission assures that 40% of the company who applied, who are invited to this interview, have a female CEO. So this is how the Commission wants to push this, okay? So almost half of the invitation stage are for CEO lead company. In the next slide, there is another, this is a summary of who managed this. Actually, in Austria, there were 5 companies which managed, so that this project runs in the last year as a pilot, and this year they will start for the next 7 years with this format. Until now, there are these 5 companies who succeed. Also, to give you an idea of who managed to get this money. So we go here from robotics and technology to energy to biotech to it's a bottom-up project program, so everybody can apply as long as the idea is really disruptive. And as you can see here, the female CEO has become a criteria, and we have 2 companies in Austria who manage with a female CEO to win this program, and that's why I was happy to invite Anna as one of the winners to give you some more insight in this later on. In the next slide, some novelties, okay? Starting 18th of March, so in 2 weeks, the new program will be launched, and there will be, so on top of this CEO female invitation to the interview, we will have 2 more initiatives to promote women innovators. One is this called EU Prize for Women Innovators. So you can have 5,000 to 300,000 to 200,000 prize. So there will be some call during the year. They will be open. In FFK, we will be webinar. We will inform you when they are open. You submit your idea, and if you win, you get this prize as a female innovator. And the last but not least, next slide. There is another program, which I will not go in detail now. It's called European Innovation Ecosystem, which also has a call specific for Women Tech EU. So this is more addressing funding agency, association, maybe female founders would be interested. All the association and stakeholders who promote program funding and support to female technical, so deep tech companies. And you can get here a grant up to 75,000 euros to support this kind of initiative. And here we have a concrete date. So in the summer, this will be open. If anybody is interested, contact time and we help you. How do we help you? And I go to the end of my presentation, the next slide. This is what we offer as a European program at FFG. As I said, we don't give you the money, but we help you to transform your raw idea into a real final jewel, okay? We support you how? Call us, we check for the program, we make trainings, we make the so-called proposal check. We try to evaluate your proposal before you submit to the committee. We accompany you all over the process from your idea to winning this program. And please also remember this link there, which is where you find all information about the accelerator, updated and last news. With this one, I think the last point is really to see who is behind the screen. Next slide. You can feel free to refer to me as a first contact point, but here is our team. And for every person, if you hear from other events about Eurostar, EEN, Cosme, Eureka, we sit all together door to door. So you can start with me, or you can address any of these persons to directly ask for European funding for companies, and especially small companies. That's it on my side. I don't want to take any more time from the show, which is really actually one of the real person who managed. We can help you as much as you want, but then someone should really get the hands on this money. And that's why I'm very happy to give on Anna to tell her story and how we were so happy to help her to get this funding. Anna, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Angelo. So I will start screen sharing a bit later, but I would just like to start with a short introduction. So if you stop sharing, Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Iarotska. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Robobunderkind. And Robobunderkind is an educational robotics platform for teaching coding and robotics to children aged 5 to 14 years old. But actually 5 to 14 years old is that's the expansion to 14 years old is what we are going to implement as part of EU Finance project. So currently we're focusing on 5 to 10. And this is how it looks like. It's a set of building blocks to build robots. And it is it's a product targeted at children. So we are active in selling to B2C market to parents that buy for their children and to schools. So we are on the market with span and maybe like a bit of a history so that you can put everything into perspective. So we started working on the idea in 2014. We founded company in 2015, and we spent 3 years in development. Why? Because our product is a modular robot. Which requires a lot, like a long R&D cycle, because it is hardware, it is and robotics. So these 3 years we survived because of excellent funding landscape in Austria. And we received funding at that stage from AWS. Like AWS also it's another great agency along with FFG that has funding for technology startups, but also for creative startups. So we received funding in total of 800,000, which helped us get through those first 3 years. And in parallel, we also raised investment funding. So it always goes hand in hand. And we applied for European funding in order to get to the next level with our product. So it's helped us develop, finance further development of the product and also expanding to all the age groups. We are on the market since 2018, so it's been 3 full years on the market. We are present in more than 20 countries, and yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, like so far. Proud to have, like, we're almost 20 people now, spread along many countries. Half of the team is in Vienna, and we have people working for us in Berlin, Barcelona, Canada. So we are like, yeah, we see ourselves also as a global company. I have a very short video, which I would like to share to give you a bit of more insight in the product so that you know what is actually, like, what kind of products get funding. And then I would like to tell you a bit more about EU funding and how I experienced that. So I will do the screen sharing now. I hope it will work. Just a second. Yeah, the internet is a bit slow. I hope it will work well. It's all hanging. Okay, all these.
My name is Lily and I'm 8 years old. My name is Sophia and I'm 6 years old. We made a bird. It's called a phoenix, but it's not a real bird. It's from a movie. We set it on forever that it drives until it sees an object. Obstacle! Oh, yes. And when the phoenix turns, it could, like, flap this wing like that a little. It could. First, I need to drive, and I also need a sound that it sounds like a bird. In Robo code, you have to make a code. Put the blocks that you need in your program, and you press go. The red piece is like the sensor, and it like can sense like objects. These blue pieces are the motors, and you can attach the wheels to the motors. And this is a light. You can program the light to blink blue, to blink red. It's really fun, and you can like learn more out of it than sitting down and thinking about what you want to do, or like sitting on the computer the whole time.
Yeah, okay, now I am back. Hey, cool. I hope that this video could give you a bit of insight of the product behind Robobunderkind. And now I would like to share some of our experience for applying for funding, because I think funding is one of the key I mean, like, this is not a reason for success, but it's something you just need to have in place in order to make your ambitious idea happen. And it's also very often we experience as female founders, we know that, yeah, like it might be challenging. Like statistics says that it is more challenging for female founders to get funding. To be honest, I never really thought about it, because for us with a hardware startup in education, it was by definition already very difficult to get funding. It was all the time a huge struggle. But as you see, like it's just doing it step by step, and maybe also kind of, I think for us, for the whole team, was at some point important to realize that it's not happening fast, that development takes longer, entering education market takes longer. We're here in a long game, and just not going crazy about spending our money, also not hiring very quickly a lot of people, but gradually, and also looking all the time for like different types of funding. And so as a result, right now we raised already, together with European funding, we raised 3 million euros in different grants and 2 million from private investors. So I really made use of all possible types of financing. And for what I would like to share is that I think it requires a lot of work. So of course, if your idea can be self-financed and you can get traction without having external funding, that's probably like the best scenario we could dream of. And I would actually, now when I speak to someone, I also really encourage them to think about whether you can pull it off. If you don't need to, spend 3 years in product development, maybe, and you can launch MVP and generate first sales already in 6 months, then it's better to start thinking more about generating sales and not about fundraising. This is one thing. And like, I think like a lot of software startups with all the tools available out there are actually well positioned to launch a product and generate sales without spending a lot of money on product development. On the other hand, if you know that you are a deep tech startup, your market takes longer, and funding is definitely needed, then I think in Europe is a unique landscape in terms of grant funding. There is also a number of agencies, and to be honest, I think like I haven't used them enough in my early stages. I'm very happy. I discovered FFG team, and they helped me immensely during our application. But at the early stages, I didn't make use of that, and only now I know that there is a lot of places where you can also come and be supported in terms of preparation, setting up for grant application. Also, there is, I think it's Wirtschaftskammer, that there are consultants who can also do a review of your grant proposal and give you initial feedback. So being informed about all those possibilities and all those support offices is really important and can be very helpful. For the EU funding, we were actually, like, I'm very proud to be quoted as part of this female support initiative, but we were like last call where there was no quota for female founders. So, and I was actually considering whether we need to wait and because, always additional boost doesn't hurt, but we decided to just go with it. And we got selected. So I think it's still focus is on innovative idea, and as a female founder you can be selected also without additional support. But of course I'm very happy that, and I saw like in those sessions where I could participate at the EU level, I see that there is a lot of commitment from the EU to actually change the situation, change the status quo, and support female founders to build up more examples to follow and to inspire more women to found the companies. I think this would be main highlights from my side. I'm looking forward to your questions, and I will also type in my email in the chat, so everyone who wants to follow up with questions or just wants to reach out and ask for feedback, you're welcome to. Maybe something else, which I think some people don't realize, that startup founders are very, very open to support each other. And if you have, of course, like, very open questions are not very helpful. But if you have like rather concrete questions, and and you think that a certain person, a certain founder could have the experiences which could help, I would encourage you to reach out and ask for advice. I am always doing that, and of course now even more. I do ask for how others are doing it. Like there is a lot of learning happening between founders. So also do reach out to others and see who can help you. Well, so I think that would be from my side. And yeah, let's start the question session.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the input, both to the FFG side, but also Anna, I think it was very nice to hear about your learnings and also like this encouragement of going, also looking at also on a EU level, and that there is like more support for female founders. And I think we have the first questions in. Maybe just a reminder for everyone who is watching the session at the moment, if you have a question, now is the time to put it in the chat. So Teresa is wondering, what is the ideal stage to start with Robobunderkind?
The ideal stage, we recommend 5 and 6 years as a good age to get started.
Perfect. Geza is wondering, what was your strategy to get funding? How advanced was your prototype?
Our prototype was not working when we got the first funding, to be honest. Like we had like 3D built robot, but to make modular connection work, you need so much more work. And so like the very first funding we got from a hardware accelerator, it was just 25,000 euros, but for back then it was a huge amount. And they chose us based on our pitch, on our idea, and on the
Maybe
team.
if I can jump in just to complement, it's also a question what exactly you need, how much money and where you are. Because now we say it in a way very, very fast and easy, but every program has a specific target where you are in your development. So there are programs which actually do, as Anna said, this first development with small money for the very initial stage. There are programs like the last one on the European level, which assume that you have a working prototype and you scale up. So just you have to find the right one for the way you are. In theory, every stage of prototyping is the best moment to get funding, according to our opinion at least.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for the add-on. I would like to say in the chat there's a lot of thank yous and a lot of appreciation for your inputs, Anna. I think that's very valuable to many people in the audience. Maybe a question from my side that goes more to the FFG. You, as you just presented, you have a lot of programs in place where you want to support women. I was just wondering if you, in general, have a KPI on how much funding shall go towards women.
At FFG, no, there's no quote, but we give funding to projects, so not to companies. It's about projects and R&D projects. But we have a look on the team and the competences of the team. So yeah, there's no quote, but we see the quote is rising. That's a good signal. And as said, like Angelo, it's always good to come at every stage. If you've got an idea, so whether you're a female founder or not, I think it's about the idea and the project, and there will be programs for each step in this journey to the market. So and there are few, but there are programs dedicated just for female founders, as said, like the Femtech Praktika. It's a program that is only available for women, but there's no quote. So there are several fundings in the portfolio dedicated to female founders or female talent, but in general, there's no quote.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's just interesting to see a bit behind the scenes and understand a bit how it works in the FFG and what you're trying to pull off. And I think it's great that you already have those programs in place. And there is, I see also in the chat, there is also some appreciation for that. Yeah, maybe let me have a look. Anna, You said it, especially also in the beginning, it was challenging for you to get funding. What kind of support would you have wished to have maybe in the beginning when you started fundraising? Is there anything specific that comes to your mind?
Yeah, like support, I'm not sure, but I think a lot of founders, like when they start, or at least like it was in my case, it was the first product I've been developing. So you start with an idea and actually then you figure out how to make it happen. And by now I know that I learned a lot on product management and like the philosophy behind it and like the decisions, what kind of features go in the product, but also like in general, like what is a job to be done by the product. So like this is actually like a whole science. And I think it is, I wish, like if I would go back, I would advise myself to educate myself more on that on the very beginning. So the product management, because I think it's one of the, of course, like how to sell the product is again, like very important, but also like what to develop and what kind of features to prioritize. Like so this whole product management philosophy is very important.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we have a question in the chat that is going towards Werner. Do you recommend external Förderungsberater?
Yeah, it's a question that comes often to us. I would suggest first talking to the FFG further service, come with your idea, probably do the quick check. And I think we can give you a first advice is there, especially to founders who apply first time for or have an idea just to come to us to say, okay, that's my idea. So we're not about, okay, there's no secret about we don't share your idea, and see is there fundings around in the portfolio. Then I would just suggest, like Anna said, talk to other founders that were probably in the same situation like you. I think you can learn a lot of this from other founders. And normally, if you apply the first time, probably it takes time, but it's not that complicated that you can't do it by your own. The second time it's already easier because that's the criteria and you need to have a business plan. So I wouldn't suggest that you need a Förderberater. Probably in complicated projects for the European level, the situation is a little bit different. I think there's a market around a Förderungsberater. It's also about how much time you want to invest. If you've got the resources, because as said, for complicated or at the basis program, there's the project start. I think for that you don't need a Förderberater. And if you start with the project start, afterwards you can apply for the basis program. If you directly apply for a basis program the first time, then probably it makes sense to get some advice. But I would suggest go to the FFG further service first, ask other founders that were in the same position, and if you think you still need some advice, then probably it makes sense to go to a Förderungsberater. But I think it's not the first address to go to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, at the moment there's no other question in the chat, and we have 4 minutes left, so we'll take. Oh, Anna, sorry, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I saw that somebody was saying about grants for creative projects or for less techy projects. There is AWS Creative Impact Program, which provides funding for less technology focused projects. And I am I'm honored to be in the jury there, and I find it just something I was also thinking about that because by reading also some of the proposal, I noticed that quite many of them are not thinking that well about how to scale. And I think this is because, again, probably in Corona, like I joined jury last year, and I know that the amount of companies that are applying for funding since Corona started, increased. So like their competition became much stronger. And I would recommend also, like if you are not very technology concerned, that you need to make sure that you have a really good scaling plan and how to make it not a local business, but actually something which could be successful outside and will be successful outside of Austria as well.
Sorry, Karina, if we have still 1 minute, I can maybe comment on another point I was reading.
Yes, obviously. I wanted to actually still ask you a question. Did not end it already? We have 3 more minutes.
Okay, no, I just pick up in the chat that someone talked about the difference between hardware and software to get funded. It's true, software gets easier funded, but not because of software, because it's faster. What I can say on European level, I would say even the opposite is getting better. Okay, because Europe is searching for real production now, much more than other things. Story like the one of Anna, when you have a physical product to show, this is today is not a disadvantage. Okay, and also I think it's a difference between national and international programs. Of course, it is a matter of scale because national programs are lower budget, so most likely it's shorter in time and less cost. If you really need something big, because you need a lot of money for the hardware production, bad things about the European one. It's true that it's more difficult to get them. It's more work. As Werner said, most likely there you need someone to help you. But the good point is that the European projects are much more keen to support hardware and production, not only software and soft production.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Actually, we have 1 more minute, so maybe does anyone wants to make a last statement, something you really, there's so many women joining us now. What will be your last statement towards them, like a recommendation or something like that?
Can I say you are lucky? On European level now, if you are a woman, you talk about Green Deal and you are a young startup, you have advantage today. Let me see that.
Yeah, I can only second that. I think that there is a lot of support to get, like there is a momentum for female founders. So if you have an idea and you want to commit to, like this is actually like commit to something working for years until it becomes big and successful, then you should go for that. And being an entrepreneur is very fulfilling. You have a lot of freedom and you decide by yourself on what you want to work on and with who you want to work with. And this is a very amazing journey.